Hey everyone, Omogonix here and welcome to part 13 of my tutorial series where I teach you guys how to make a first-person horror game in Godot. So in today's part what we're going to start off by doing is making a jump scare for the enemy here. So as you can see, this is our enemy model, which I did in part 12. I think it looks pretty good. Probably one of the better models that I've made before. And so what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to add a camera to our enemy. So in your enemy scene, just go right click, add child node, camera 3D. So this is going to be our jump scare camera. So I'm just going to move it in front of the player here. I mean, not the player, the enemy, sorry. And then I'm going to rotate it on its Y transform, just like that. And if you want to preview your camera as well, just make sure you have your camera selected. Then you can select this little box here to preview your camera. Now in Godot 4.4, because I've been using Godot 4.4 recently, and something which differs compared to Godot 4.3, which is the version I'm using right now in Godot 4.4, is that when you have your camera 3D selected, in the top right here there's usually a little preview for your camera. So if you're in Godot 4.4, then you might have that little preview in your inspector menu, but yeah, otherwise you can just do this to preview your camera. Also, I'm going to rename my camera 3D to jump scare camera as well, just so then we know exactly what it is. Alright, so now we're going to do an animation for our enemy, which is going to be it jump scaring us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my monster enemy scene. So I'm just going to go look up monster enemy. There we go. And then as you can see here, we have our enemy's animation player. So this is where we've done our idle and walk animation, and this is where we'll be doing the jump scare animation as well. I just realized that something that would actually be very useful for our enemy, because I want to do an animation where the player's getting stabbed, but how am I gonna, show that when there is actually no knife for the enemy to hold? So what I'm gonna do is I am actually going to give the knife, So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to give our enemy here a knife to hold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go into Blender and do that. Alrighty, so here I am in Blender. I'm going to get rid of the camera and the light, and we're just going to be left with this cube here. So this is going to be the handle for the knife. So just like that. And then I'm going to Control C, Control V, this cube here. So making a very basic knife is pretty simple. Just go in like that. Alright, there we go, that's going to be the knife. But you might be thinking to yourself, well, that looks quite blunt. Well, don't worry, we are going to be fixing that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control C, Control V this part. So do make sure, of course, you've got the bullying tool installed. And then we're just going to position this like this. So what you want to do is you want to position this cube in a way in which how you want to cut into your knife. So then you've got the sharpness of it. So now we're just going to rotate more like this. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to select that cube you just made. Then you want to shift click on this cube here. Get the drop down arrow here, edit, boolean, difference, apply all cutters, and boom, now we have a basic knife that we can use. Okay, so once you make your knife, now you can just export it into your project. Make sure, of course, you do export it as a GLB, and yeah. Alrighty, so now we have our knife in our scene. So if I search up knife.glb, there it is. So I'm going to go make a new inherited scene for this. And we're just going to save it as knife.tscn. There we go. And of course we can apply materials to this. So what I'm actually thinking for this knife is we do like a noise texture 3D. So I'm going to go into the albedo texture here. I mean noise texture 2D, that's what it is. So we're going to go noise texture 2D. Noise empty, new fast noise light. There we go. So the reason as to why I want to do a noise texture is because I want to do like some stony texture. But I mean not a stony texture, like a metally texture but with like blood on it too. And we can easily make that here using the noise. So with this I am just going to darken down this a bit. Then we're going to make this kind of reddish, like that. There we go. I'm going to turn up the metallicness, going to turn down the roughness, just like that. And there we go. So this actually does look like more of like a bloody knife now. Since this is going to be, such a small knife as well, you can turn down the texture size of it if you want to. since, you know, if you don't need a larger texture size, then there's no reason to have one, you know what I mean? And also we're going to do a normal map as well for this, just to make it look a bit more, you know, bumpy. As normal map. Alright, this is looking nice. We'll also turn up the frequency here. And then, now that looks really, really bumpy, then just turn down the strength, and there we go. So yeah, I think this looks pretty good. Alrighty, so now I'm going to do the handle. So for the handle, I want to do like a carpet-like material, so I think I'm just going to use the carpet texture that I have. So I'm going to use carpet. There we go. And then we're just going to darken it. There we go. Alrighty, so this here is going to be my enemy's knife. Also, I think I'm going to make the blade a bit longer as well, since I feel like the blade is a bit short. We'll just grab it and pull it up a bit, just like that. And there we go. Alright, so now I'm going to go into my monster enemy scene. And whatever arm you want your enemy to hold their knife, if you have made a knife like I have, just select your hand or your lower arm. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click on my lower arm, go instantiate child scene, knife.tscn, and there we go, now we have our knife here. Alright, so now I'm just going to go position this towards the hand of my my enemy here. It looks like a very big knife right now. But now we're just going to scale it downwards so then it is more the correct size for our enemy. And yeah, that looks perfect, honestly. Alright, so that there is our enemy with the knife. So if we actually watch the enemy walk now, since that knife is a child of the lower right arm, as you can see, the knife now moves with the enemy's hand. So that's the walk animation, this is the idle one. And yeah. Alright, so now that we've got the knife and our enemy, what we're going to do now is we are now going to do the jump scare animation. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the animation player, and then I'm going to go to my reset track here, go animation, duplicate, and we're going to duplicate the reset tracks, then we already have all the nodes for our enemy here reset when we need them to be for the jump scare animation. So then I'm just going to call this duplicated animation jump scare. And there we go. Alrighty, so how I'm going to start this off here is the AI is going to have its upper arm be more up. So something like this. Oh. So I'm going to have the arm sort of like this, I guess. Like they're going to get ready to stab. And their upper left arm is almost going to be like grabbing onto the player like this. So we will be animating the jump scare camera as part of this as well. So yeah, this is almost like the enemy is going to be grabbing the player. And also, I forgot as well, make sure that you do your keyframes. Make sure you do press on your keys when you do when you set your animation stuff. So I'm just doing that for my upper right arm and upper left arm now. You want to make sure you set your keyframes. Also, with this jump scare animation length, I'm going to set to like 2 seconds, I think. And I'm also going to put it on loop as well. So what's going to happen is we are going to have just the enemy constantly stabbing. In fact, I'm actually going to make it 1 second. You guys will see why. So yeah, they're just going to be constantly stabbing the player until it eventually goes to a death scene. 0.5 seconds into my animation, I'm now going to move in our right arm here, so then it's like stabbing into the player, so something like this. So just going to move in my right arm like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the lower arm, it's going to like more move in like this. But then we're probably going to need to move the upper right arm a bit in more. But yeah, so this is how it looks right now with the constant stabbing. So yeah, that's why I'm looping the animation, is so then it just looks like a constant stabbing animation. But yeah, obviously this isn't what the animation is going to be. This is just the start of it. Also, one thing which I forgot to do was set the interpolation mode for all the animation tracks here to cubic, so it can look more smoother. Alright, so now here's how that looks. It looks a bunch more smoother with the arm movement. In fact, I feel like it could be quicker, but we'll figure that out later. So anyways, again, 0.5 seconds into the animation, I'm going to actually have the head of our enemy here moving. So it's going to be sort of like rotated like this. There we go. Alright. We're also going to have the body rotate as well. Whatever that is, yeah, the sphere here. I'm going to rotate that a bit to the left. So yeah, we've got a bit more motion there now. And then we'll also add a bit of motion to the left arm as well, just move it up a tiny bit, like that. There we go. So let's actually see how this looks if I speed up the animation player. So if I change the speed scale of the animation player to 2. Yeah, that looks a bunch faster now. So I guess when we play the jump scare animation, we could just play it at a speed scale of 2, and then this could be it, you know? And then the player's head will be moving along. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into my enemy scene now, and I'm gonna go right click onto my monster enemy here, and we're gonna go editable children, and we're gonna find our animation player. And so here we have our jump scare animation. So I'm actually going to preview this from the jump scare camera right now. So here's how it currently looks. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to animate our jump scare camera into this animation player. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go set the rotation and position tracks of, well, right now we'll just do the rotation. But yeah, so I've just set the rotation track for the jump scare here. So now we're going to go we'll do like maybe 0.3 in, and then we'll have like the players camera rotating and stuff. So keyframe there. Alright, so that there is the jump scare animation right now. One thing which I need to do, because I can't actually set the interpolation mode of this animation track in this scene. I actually have to go into the monster enemy scene, and then I actually have to change it here. So one thing which you'll notice when coming into the animation player in this scene is that, as you can see, because the jump scare camera doesn't exist in this scene, it looks like, oh no, it doesn't exist, so now the animation is ruined. But don't worry, because once you go back into your enemy scene, then it will all be fine again. So let's go back into here. And as you can see, yeah, we've now got our jump scare camera. It's now got its interpolation mode set to cubic, and boom, it all works out just fine. So yeah, and if we set the speed scale to 2, that looks even better. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of this jump scare animation I made. I think it turned out better than I thought. It's actually probably one of the best jump scare animations I've actually made, if I'm gonna be honest. Alrighty, so there is my jump scare animation. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to make it so our jump scare animation can play. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy one of these raycasts here. So I'm just going to go Control D with a raycast selected, and I'm just going to put it beneath the enemy here. In fact, I'm going to put it more into the middle of the enemy, And, oh wait, I was just changing the rotation just then. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to change the position. Change the Z to a 0, there we go. Because what I want to do, right, is I want to make sure that that this raycast can actually rotate around so then it's always looking at the player. So basically this raycast here is going to be the raycast which kills our player. So basically how it will work is when the AI is chasing the player, this raycast will enable, and it will always look at the player, so then when it eventually hits the player, then that will consider the player killed. So I am going to shorten this, of course, too. In fact, I'm going to short it down to a maybe 0.1, 0.5 maybe. It just depends on from how far you want your player to die from the enemy. So set this to whatever your enemy's, I guess you could say, kill length is, or the distance in which they can kill the player from. So yeah. So I'm going to rename this to Killcast, which I think sounds like a pretty cool name, honestly. So now let's go into our enemy script, where now we're going to do some scripting. So I'm actually going to do a new function. I'm just going to call this funckill_player. So we're going to go if killcast dot is underscore colliding. Also, one thing which I forgot to do as well, up the top here, we need to do a new variable. So we're going to do var, and then I'm going to enter in we're going to call this var killed, and we're going to make it equal to false at first. There we go. So then with this if killcast is colliding line, what we're going to do here is we're going to do var hit equals killcast dot get collider. So we're getting the collider of killcast. And then if hit dot name equal to player and not killed. So if the player hasn't been killed and the thing that the raycast is hitting is the player, then what will happen is killed equals true, and then we'll do a jumpscare cam dot current equals true. So we're basically setting the jumpscare camera as current, and then we'll also do a animation player. So we're going to access the monster enemies animation player. Go dot play jumpscare. And then we're also going to be setting the animation player speed scale of that as well. Dot speed scale equals 2. And there we go. Alright, so to make sure that when our enemy is jump scaring the player, it doesn't move anymore. So in this pick destination function, for example, where it says not chasing, we'll also do end not killed. So if the player isn't killed, and also with the physics process stuff here, we can just put this all under if not killed, just like that. And then same thing with the process as well. Just literally put all this under if not killed. Also can do the same thing here as well with the compute velocity line. Alrighty, so now that should all be goods as far as I'm concerned. What else we'll need to do as well is disable the player to make sure that they can't move anymore. So I'm going to get underscore tree dot current underscore scene dot get underscore node player. And then we're going to go dot process mode equals and then node dot process mode disabled. And that will disable our player to make sure that we can't move anymore or anything like that. So yeah. Alright, so with this killcast as well, as I mentioned earlier, it is actually going to be something which is going to be disabled at first, since it's not always going to be used. It's only ever going to be used when the player is actually being chased. So we will disable that. But then what I'm going to do here is in my chase player function, I'm going to do if $killcast dot enabled. So, and then I'm going to do an exclamation mark out the front of this just to say if not killcast.enabled. So if killcast isn't enabled, then what will happen is killcast will be enabled. So killcast.enabled equals true, and there we go. And then also with the chasing as well, if the enemy stops chasing the player, so in this little bit of code here which we use for stopping the enemy from chasing the player, we can then just copy these bits of code here, from what we typed before, get rid of the not, so if killcast is enabled, then killcast.enabled equals false. And there we go. As I mentioned also, we want to make sure that this killcast is always looking at the player. So what I am going to do here in my kill player function as well, is we are going to do killcast.lookat, and then I'm going to do get underscore tree dot current underscore scene dot get underscore node player. Oh wait a second, I just realized, I forgot guys, we already have literally got a player variable in the script. Damn, I just forgot all about that. But yeah, so it turns out we've already got a player variable, so we don't even need to do get underscore tree dot current underscore scene dot get node player. But yeah, I forgot all about that. Alrighty, so anyways, so as you can see here, killcast.lookat player, and I'm gonna do dot global underscore transform dot origin, and boom. So basically what's going to happen is that killcast is always going to be trying to look at the player's transform origin, so our transform origin is going to be in the middle of us, so yeah. And then of course in our physics process function, since we are going to be using raycasts, what we're going to do here is we're going to do, oh wait, do I already have a if chasing line here? No, I do not. Underneath here we're going to do if chasing, it needs to be in the if not killed line. We're going to do if chasing, then kill underscore player, so then we have our kill player function happening, so yeah. Also I've decided I'm actually going to be moving this line here, the if not killcast enabled, killcast equals true line. I'm going to move this to my kill player function here. There we go. So I was just testing out the enemy before, and a jump scare wasn't working, and I was thinking, why? All the code looks correct. But what I think it is it's because of how we're getting the killcast to look at the player, and I think it's because of the rotation, of how the rotation of the killcast works. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create a child node of our killcast, just a node 3D, oops, not a camera 3D, I meant a node 3D, just like that. Just going to move it out from being a child node. And then we're going to call this killcast as well, or just killcast 2. We could, just call it whatever you like. Killcast parent, whatever. But yeah, so now I'm just going to call that killcast. So then in my code here, with the kill player function, we're now going to do another killcast out the front of this, and then slash, like that. And then with killcast.lookat, we can just leave that as it is. But with this, we're actually going to be setting these. And then also up here as well, slash killcast. Also another thing which I need to do, hold on. I'm just going to change the rotation of this to 0, 0, 0. And then I'm going to make this a child again. And there we go. Alright, so now that should actually work as we want it to, hopefully. And yeah, so I'm gonna just set this back down to negative 1.5, and now let's actually go test again and see if everything works. Come on, buddy. And yes, it works. And as you can see, the enemy is now killing me. So yeah, everything all works perfectly there. Now we are going to need to make a def scene that we can go to, of course, so I'm going to create a new user interface scene, and I'm going to call this def. And I'm going to give it a canvas layer, so just go right click at your node, canvas layer. There we go. Then we're going to add a color rect, so this is just going to be like a black background. There we go. And then I'm going to add some text, just simply saying def, or dead, whatever you want it to say. Alright, so if we go BB code enabled, and then we do a bracket, center, bracket, that will now center our text. So for my text, I'm just going to put, you died, just something very simple and basic. And then we're going to stretch this out so that it's filling up just like that, since centering. Set the font size, maybe something like 120 maybe. Yeah, there we go. and boom. So of course we will set a different font for this later, like a different font style. Just going to save this into my scenery folder here, and there we go. And now I'm going to go to my def scene parent here, add child node, animation player, animation new, and I'm just going to call this def. Okay. And with the rich text label here, I'm going to go into my visibility tab where it says modulate, and I'm going to turn down the alpha, so the transparency all the way down. Set the keyframe. Yep, there we go. I'm going to make this animation about 5 seconds long. Then for about 2 seconds this is going to fade in. Just like that. It's going to stay for a second. And then it's going to fade out for 2 seconds. So now let's see how this looks. And there we go. So that's going to be our simple def scene. So now I'm going to create a script for this, new script. Save it in my scripts folder, create, there we go. And then at func ready, we're going to do animation player.play def. And then we can do await get underscore tree dot create underscore timer. And then we could set this to maybe, 5 seconds or 5.5 seconds. And then false or true. In fact, I'm going to do true since it's, outside of the game scene. Doesn't really matter. So basically, yeah, so what we're doing in this script is on our ready function. So when the scene is ready to start, then what will happen is our animation player will play. Then after 5.5 seconds, so then what we're going to do for now is we're going to do get underscore tree dot quit. So the reason as to why we're just going to quit the game after the player dies is because we don't have a main menu yet. We will be making one soon, of course. So yeah. But for now, we're just going to be making it so then the game just fully quits when the player dies. Alrighty, so now we're going to go back into my enemy script here. So in the kill player function, underneath all this stuff here, after the player gets disabled and the jump scare animation plays, we're going to go await get underscore tree dot create underscore timer. And then this will just be your jump scare length, so how long you want your jump scare to be on screen for. For me, I'm going to do 2 seconds, so 2.0 false dot timeout. And then do get underscore tree dot change underscore scene to file, and then def. And there we go. So now when our player dies, I'll be sent to the def scene. Alrighty, so now let's actually go ahead and test out the def scene and stuff. So we're going to go run project just to test everything so far. There we go, and boom, now he's killing us. And you died. And then boom, the game quits just like that. So yeah, as you can see, the jump scare animation looks good, it works perfectly. And then we also have our basic def scene as well, which then, will let us quit the game. Alright guys, so to end off this tutorial today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in some sounds. So as you can see here, I've now got a sounds folder which I've created, and I've added a bunch of sounds into it. So most of these sounds are sounds which I haven't made, but I've downloaded from freesound.org. I think the carpet footstep sounds that I have here are from another website, like Pixabay or something like that. But yeah, one of the best sites in my opinion for looking for free sounds is freesound.org. I usually like to look for Creative Commons Zero sounds on there. So yeah. Something else which I do as well is I also make my own sounds for my games. But it depends on the game and, what sort of sounds I want to make. But otherwise, if there's a certain sound that I think will just be easier to download, and I don't think I'm going to be that good at making it myself, I usually just download it from a site like freesound.org. Alrighty, so here we have all our sounds that we're going to be using today. Now, this isn't going to be every sound that's in the game, of course, but we are going to get started with adding in some sounds today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my door scene here. So we're just going to go door.tscn. And so first off, I'm going to be adding in my door sounds. So I'm going to go to my hinge here, and then I'm going to go add child node, and we're going to add an audio stream player 3D as a child node of the hinge. And the reason as to why is because when we do rotate our door, we want the sound to obviously move with the door, so yeah. And the reason as to why we're using an audio stream player 3D is because this will play audio from its correct direction where it's coming from. So I'm just going to rename this to open. So this will be our open sound here, and then we're going to set the stream. So when you select your audio stream player 3D, you can then select the stream, and I'm going to select this to open door. And you can also preview the sound by pressing playing here. So as you can see, we can preview what the sound sounds like. Just like that. Also, something else which you might want to do as well, if you plan on having like some audio settings, like let's say for example in your settings menu you want to have a master volume setting and a sound effects setting and a music setting. Well, if you want to do that and you want to separate your audio from each other, what you can do here is you can click onto this audio tab here, and we can actually create a new audio bus. So if we go add bus, that will create a new audio bus for us, and we can just call this something like SFX for sound effects. And now if you click onto your audio stream player, and then where it says bus here, you can now change the bus to sound effects if you like. So I am also going to set the max distance of this door sound to maybe something like 30 meters, I guess. There we go. And yeah, so then we're just going to then duplicate the open sound. So I'm just going to go duplicate, call this close, and then I'm just going to change this open door sound to a close sound. There we go. And boom. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go into my script here. So what's going to happen is in each of these functions we're going to be making the sounds play. So in this AI enable door function, for example, because this opens the door, what we'll do here is we'll do $open or $hinge open, since it's a child of the hinge, the open sound is. Then we can go .play, and what that will simply do is play our sound. Then we can do the same thing here as well, but this time we can do close, so hinge/close and then .play. And then last but not least, we just need to do the same thing down here as well in these functions. So if not opened and if opened. So if not opened, then the close sound will play. Then if opened, the open sound will play. And boom! So now that should be it for our door sounds. Something else which I have here is a button sound, as you can see. Well, a doorbell sound. So it's just a simple ringing. And then we've also got a button sound as well, which we're going to be using for the doorbell. Oops, I accidentally just pressed re-import, didn't mean to do that. But yeah, so there's the button sound. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go into my doorbell scene, just like that. And then I'm going to add in the needed sounds for this. So I'm going to go audio stream player 3D, add child node audio stream player 3D. And then I'm going to rename this to button. So this is going to be the button sound of the doorbell. Just go quick load, add in the button.mp3, there we go. Preview it, just like that. Also, I'm going to give this a max distance of maybe 15 meters. Going to set it to the sound effects thing as well. There we go. And then we're going to duplicate this sound. This is going to be for the doorbell. Well, it's called doorbell 2 now because we already have the static body being called doorbell. But anyways, this will just be called doorbell 2. And then now we can add in our doorbell sound. And by the way, if you're wondering what sort of audio files are good for Godot, usually what I use is WAV and MP3. There may be other audio files which, Godot is good at handling as well, but I usually just make use of WAV or MP3. I do definitely recommend MP3. So with this doorbell, I think I'm going to make it 30 meters with its max distance. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for the doorbell. I think that's all set now. But anyway, so now let's go into the script for our doorbell here. So where we have ring bell, we're going to first add the button sound, so we can go $button.play. And then we're also going to do $doorbell2.play. So they're basically going to be playing at the same time. In fact, actually, I think it would make more sense for the button sound to play first and the doorbell one to play a bit after. So what I'll do is I'll do an await function down here. So await.get_tree.create_timer. And then we'll make the player wait for half a second before then the doorbell sound plays. And boom, there we go. Alright, so now we have a door opening and closing sound and a doorbell sound as well for our doors. Alrighty, so next up we're going to be doing the player footstep sounds. So for the player footstep sounds, I want to make sure that they're randomized, and that's why I have multiple footstep sounds here. So I've got this one, just as an example, and then we've also got this one, and then we've got two more here that we're going to be taking a look at as well. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our player scene, go into your player script, and now we're going to create a new exportable variable in our player script. So I'm going to call it export var footstep sounds. And then we do the two dots, and then we're going to do array, and then in brackets audio stream. So basically this is going to be an array which will store audio streams for us to use for our footstep sounds. So now we're going to create a brand new function. We'll just call this footsteps. And so what we're going to do here, first off, I actually forgot that we need to create an audio stream player. So we're going to create an audio stream player for our player. Just go add child node, audio stream player 3D. And then just move that towards the bottom of the player, because it's going to be their foot sounds after all. And we can also call this feet, this audio stream player. Then I'm going to just set the basic stream for now to be one of the footstep sounds. You don't need to if you don't want to. It's going to be set in the script anyway, but yeah. And then of course the bus to sound effects, and then I'm just going to set the max distance of the audio, and boom, we should be ready to go. Alrighty, so back in the script here with our footsteps function, we're going to go exclamation mark $feet.playing. So what we're doing here is we're checking if the feet sound isn't playing. And if it isn't playing, what we're going to do is, oh wait a second, there's something else which I forgot as well. We need to add an RNG variable. So we need to do @onReadyVar RNG equals random number generator.new. This is what we're going to be doing to randomize the footstep sounds. So then we're going to do in our footsteps function, if once we check if feet isn't playing, we're going to do feet wait. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot to do the if out the front of the exclamation mark. Don't forget that, guys, you need to do an if out the front of the exclamation mark. So if feet not playing, then what's going to happen is feet.stream. So basically the stream is whatever sound is going to be played for the audio stream player. So our stream will be set to footstep sounds. And then we're going to do brackets. And then you want to do rng.randy_range 0 to footstep sounds dot size, and then -1. So what we're doing here is we are checking if feet isn't playing, and if the feet sound isn't playing, then we change the sound of our feet to a random sound from our list of footstep sounds. And the reason as to why we do a Randy range 0 to footstep sounds dot size -1 is because we want to pick the range between how many, we want to pick a range between 0 and then how many footstep sounds we have in our footsteps array. And then we -1 because the last number in the size isn't actually a selectable thing. Like, it'll just come back as a null value, so that's why we need to just do -1 so then it doesn't end up selecting the final number, so yeah. So then we just do feet.play, and boom, just like that, we set our footstep sounds. So yeah, it's as simple as that. So then what we're going to do is down in the bottom part of the script here where it says if direction, so this is if our player is moving, then what we're going to do is we're just going to do footsteps, just like that, and boom, there we go. So yeah, it's just as simple as that to get some footstep sounds playing. Now we're going to go into our player node here, then we're going to assign these footstep sounds into the array. So my footstep sounds are all called carpet footstep sound. Oh wait, I accidentally just had the last one in there. Carpet. Just gonna add one more for the fourth one. And there we go. Boom. So now I've got footstep sounds. Alright, so another sound I'm going to be adding in for this tutorial is going to be the wind sound. So it's going to be like our ambience. So all this sound is it's just some wind, and we're going to be adding this in as some ambience into our scenes. So first off, I'm going to go into the intro scene. So I'm just going to look up a game intro. There we go. And then I'm going to place some audio stream players around here. So basically it's just going to be playing some wind sounds for some extra immersion. Alrighty, so let's go add child node, audio stream player 3D. And now let's place around some ambient sounds. So I think I'm going to be placing them mainly at like the corners of the map, or just somewhere like this. So just one here, for example. Then we can just assign this to wind. Oh, and also with repetitive sounds that you want to loop, like ambient sounds, for example, all you need to do is you just go double click onto it, and then loop enable, re-import, and then boom, now your sound is loopable. Now if you're using a WAV, it's going to be different. You can't actually just, simply loop it like that. You actually need to go into the import settings and then change it that way, so you can change the loop mode to whatever you like with a WAV file. But yeah, set the bus to sound effects. Also going to turn up the max distance as well, maybe to something like 250. And then with the volume, that's fine. And you can also preview it playing too, of course. If you think that your sounds are a bit loud, even if you give them a large distance, you can always play around with the volume as well. Like you might want to turn this up. Also, setting the unit size can really help too. But yeah. I'm also going to add another sound down here too, so another wind sound down here. And something which I like to do with my ambient sounds as well is if they all use the same sound file, I like to actually change the pitch scale of them to actually make them sound different, and also the pitch scale sort of slows down the sounds as well, or speeds them up depending on what the pitch is, so therefore the sounds, they don't sound like they're playing at the same time either. It's just a lot more immersive and better. So yeah, do keep that in mind when you are duplicating around your ambient sounds. Maybe consider changing the pitch scale of them. So I'm going to change the pitch scale of this one to 1.5. Then I'm going to post a third audio stream player just over here. Going to set this to 2. Then we're going to set another one just down here. And we're going to set this to 1.25. So I'm actually going to go to where the camera is over here. And I want to actually listen to how all these audio stream players sound. So I'm going to select them all and play them all at the same time. Also, we can turn up their unit sizes. But yeah, you can sort of faintly hear the sounds now. They sound pretty decent. I just turned up the max distance to 500 as well. But anyways, we've now got our ambient sounds added in here. I will just stay silent for a few moments just so you guys can give it a listen. If I need to, I will adjust these wind sounds later. But yeah, for now this is alright. So anyways, now that we're done with our intro scene, now let's get to adding into our level scene. We need to add some ambience here too, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, actually we can just like copy an audio stream player from here since it's going to be the exact same sound. So I'm just going to copy one of my wind audio stream players from the game intro scene. Then I'm going to post it over to my level scene in there. So now we're just going to add these around here. We're going to add maybe 4, just like we did with the intro scene. So I'm going to add one here in the corner, just like that. Add another over here. And of course I'm going to change the pitch scale of them. Oh, not 0.25, 1.25. There we go. Also going to have one over here. And then we'll just give this 1.5. And then our last one over here, we're going to give 2. And there we go. So now let's just listen to how these sound. So I'm just going to select them all, go playing. So yeah, we can definitely hear them all right now. I think it's pretty decent. I like it. Alright guys, so I was just testing out the game before, and whilst the doorbell sound works perfectly, the ambient sounds work perfectly, the door opening and closing sounds work perfectly, and the player footstep sounds work perfectly, something which I realized is that because our drawers and cupboards and stuff, and our trapdoor use the exact same script as the door script, because they use the exact same script as the door, which is the door script, then what that means is that we'll probably need to add open sounds to these as well. However, if you're not ready to add sounds to your drawers and stuff yet, because you haven't found sounds for them yet, but yet you want to test out your sounds for the other things still, what you can do is you can go down a line from your where your sound plays, and you can go if has underscore node, so we're checking if we have the node in our scene. Then we can just go, so if has node hinge open, because our sound here is called open with the open door sound, then we can do the two dots, indent here, and then boom. So now this sound will only play, or will only try to play, if we actually have that node in our scene. So then I'm just going to copy this, put that over here, change this open here to close. So now if you simply want to test out your door sounds, you won't have to worry about getting errors for your drawers and stuff like that until you do add sounds for them. And boom, just like that. So whilst my drawers are going to have a different kind of sound for the opening and closing, I am going to give that sound to the cupboard. So I am going to give the regular door opening and closing sounds to the cupboard here. So I'm just going to go into my door scene. I'll open that back up again because I think I closed it before. And I'm going to grab the open and close sounds here, just copy them, paste them into my food cupboard scene. Just like that. Paste, and boom. Alrighty, so this is going to work a bit differently to how we did with our door. So with our cupboard here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the open and close sound into this top door here. So we'll just make them children of the top door, just like that. So I'm going to put the open one just right here. And then we're going to do the same thing with the closed one, just put that up here too. And boom, there we go. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the script here. And since this is going to work differently to what we did with our... door, instead of checking if we have if we has node hinge / open, what we're going to do instead, so we're going to copy this line here, just paste it above, and then we're going to get rid of the hinge here, and we're going to just check if we has node open, because open is simply just a child of where our script is. So then we just you know, do the same thing here, just paste it underneath, and then I'm going to change open to close, and of course change this to close. Oh wait, and then we gotta, oh, and something else which I just remembered too is we gotta get rid of the hinge out the front of the, out behind the $ as well. So yeah, you gotta make sure you do that as well. That's something else which I forgot to mention. And boom, now we should be all goods. So now, depending on, you know, whether it's a food cupboard or a door, the sound is going to be able to work. Also, something which I just realized is these aren't centered with the actual door itself. There we go, now they are. So then I'm just going to copy these sounds here, and then I'm just going to paste them onto the bottom door. Paste like that. And boom, there we go. Alrighty, so now we have sounds for our food cupboard too. Alright, so before we do end this tutorial, one last sound that I will be doing will be for the flashlight toggling. Now, we will be doing more sounds in part 14, but I just don't have enough more time for this tutorial right now, so I am going to end it off here. But so first off, before we do end it off, of course, is I'm going to go into my level scene. I'm going to find my flashlight, there it is, and then I'm going to add a child node to it, audio stream player 3D. Probably set the max distance to something like 15. And then I'm going to add in my flashlight toggle sound, which I just added in. Flashlight on.wav. There we go. Sounds like that. And so then I'm going to set the bus to sound effects, of course. And then I'm going to go into my flashlight script. I think it's my flashlight script. Oh wait, no, it's my my FP cam script. So what we do here is I just grab this line of code here for getting the flashlight in our scene. Then we do slash, and I will call this sound just sound. So flashlight slash sound, then parentheses dot play. So basically whenever we toggle our flashlight, that sound will then play. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to test out the game and see how all the sounds all go. And yeah.